Hey guys, my name is Mike, and this is Math Tutoring with Mike. Hey, before we jump into our video, there are just a few things that I would like to review with you. The first thing is that I want to implore that at the end of this video, by the time that you reach the end of this video, I want to make sure that you understand the principles that we went over today in this video. So if you have to stop the video at any point in time, that you're confused, or if you have to rewind, I really want to suggest that you do that. The second thing is that after you've reached the end of this video, that you actually go back and try solving the example problems on your own. Doing this, I find, is very important with cementing the theories and cementing the understanding, that you actually understand what was reviewed. So, thirdly, chances are you came to this video with a specific problem that you had. If at the end of this video you realize that I have not addressed the specific problem that you are looking to solve, I invite you to leave me a comment or shoot me an email with your specific problem or specific question. And you have my word, I'll do my best to either preparing another video or reaching out to you personally how to solve that particular problem. Anyway guys, so on to our video. In this video today, we are looking at how to subtract decimal numbers. Subtracting decimal numbers is a lot like adding decimal numbers, but the only difference is that you have the instead of the positive or addition sign, you have the negative sign or the subtraction sign. It's also a lot like subtracting positive numbers or positive integers. So, for example, if you recall, if you recall when we were subtracting two numbers, let's just say 18, for example, the first thing that you would do is ensure that they lined up properly. You have the ones placed, lined up, and then you have the tens placed. And so once you did that, you find that the next step that you would follow is now actually subtracting the two numbers. So in this instance, if you had the 29 minus the 18 that we just had here, you would say 9 minus 8 is 1. And then 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. So the answer is 11. We also see that with positive integers, subtracting positive integers, if we had another situation like this, where we focus on each place value, ones and the tens, you would first proceed as normal, where you look at the you start with the most right place. In this case, it would be the ones place. So we say 7 minus 8. That's impossible to do because the number on top has to be higher in order to subtract it. It's not possible to subtract an 8 from a 7. So what we do in this case is we borrow 1 from this integer here. So the 2 becomes 1. And then the 1 that we borrow, the 7 now becomes 17. And so we say 17 minus 8 is equal to 9. And then we go to the tens place, and we say 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. And we say 27 minus 18 is equal to 9. So in the same way that we subtract positive integers, we're going to now do with decimal numbers. Okay, so we're going to do a few examples. And what we'll find, like I say again, what we'll find is that a lot of the procedure is very much like addition of decimals. And it's actually in one of my other videos that I actually did. You probably find it in my playlist or in my video database there. So let's go ahead and look at now subtracting decimal numbers, shall we? So if let's just say we had a decimal number of 29.08 and we want to subtract 7.1. What do we do there? So if we recall, the very first thing we wanted to ensure is wanted to ensure that the decimal point is always lined up together. So you see the decimal point here, and the decimal point here is actually lined up together. So once you do that, the next step that I recommend is actually putting zeros and using it as a placeholder. So you always want the numbers to line up. So in this case, if we add a 0 here and a 0 here, we're not changing the numbers at all. But what we're doing is we're adding a placeholder for the hundred spot, and if you recall, this is the tenths, and this is the ones, and this is the tens. Okay, so all we're doing is we're adding a placeholder to make sure that we are subtracting the correct numbers. Okay, because if not, it's very easy to maybe get confused to say 8 subtract 1 equals 7, and that's a big no-no. That's actually wrong. Okay, so we're going to add 0 there again as placeholder, and then we'll start with the most right place. In this case would be the hundreds. Okay, so 8 minus 0 is 8. 0 minus 1, it's impossible to do. So what we do is we go and we borrow 1 from the next place. In this case will be the one's value. So the 9 would become 8. And then the 1, it would now become 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So we add the decimal point. And now we figure out, okay, 8 minus 7 equals 1. And then 2 minus 1 is equal to 2. So the answer is 21.98. Let's look at another example. If we had 7.34, and let's say 7.34 minus 6.08. Okay, how would we set that up? Well, we'll set it up as 7.34, and we want to put the decimal, line up the decimal point, and then transfer the number, transfer this number over to here. Okay, so it would be the 6 would go under the 7, the point will go under the point, the 0 will go under the 3, and the 8 would go under the 4. And don't forget the sign, and then we would proceed. Okay, 4 minus 8, it's impossible to do. So what we do is we borrow 1 from the 3, it becomes 2, and then the 1 that we borrowed, we take it back over to the hundredths spot, so the 4 now becomes 14. 14 minus 8 is equal to 6. Now we look at the 2, and we say 2 minus 0 is equal to 2. You bring down the decimal point, and then we say 7 minus 6 equals 1. And so that would be the answer. So the approach does not change at all. The approach does not change at all. You could have 3-digit numbers, 3.5061 minus 1.2. The approach does not change at all. Does not matter how big the numbers are. If you're subtracting 2 decimal point numbers, you want to make sure that the numbers always line up. Okay? 3015.061. Okay? Transfer this number now to our problem. And the first thing to do is you want to put the decimal point down, and to the left of the decimal point is the 1, and to the right of the decimal point is a 2. Okay? And after that, if you want to, you can just put placeholders to where all the existing placeholders are. Doing so would not change the problem, because all you're doing is adding zeros. I'll show you another example where not adding the right zeros properly will actually change the problems. But let's finish with this problem here. We'll bring the sign down. 1 minus 0 equals 1. 6 minus 0 equals 6. 0 minus 2, it's impossible to do, okay, because 2 is bigger than the 0. The biggest number has to be on the top. So what do? We go over, we borrow 1 from the 5, it makes it 4, and we take that 1 back over, and the 0 now becomes 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. We bring down the decimal point. 4 minus 1 is 3. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. And 3 minus 0 is 3. So the answer becomes 3013.861. Okay, let's do one more example. So we remove any confusion or clarity. But let's look at a 125.14 minus 3.008. I think this would be a good example. Okay, so this is the problem that we're given. Now what we do want to do is set up the problem. Bring down the first number, 125.14. And now we want to transfer this number, put it there. Okay, the first thing to do is look at the decimal point. The decimal point goes there. The number to the left of the decimal point is 3. The number to the right is 008. 008. Okay, so if you look, there is a number that lines up for the tens. There's a number that lines up for the hundreds. But there is a missing number here, the line up for the thousands. Okay, so it's in that spot where you would want to put the 0. Okay, if you look to the left of the decimal point, you see that there's a number that lines up for the 3, but there are no other numbers that lines up for the 2, and there are no numbers that line up for the 1. So we want to put a 0 just to act as a placeholder in these two locations. So you got a 0 there and a 0 there. And then we proceed to solving the problem. Don't forget the sign. And we say 0. We say 0 minus 8. You can't do that because 0 is smaller than the 8. So what you do is you go over 1 to the left, and you say 4, 4. You take 1 away from 4, it becomes 3. And the 1 that you took away from 4, you add it to the 0. So the 0 now becomes 10. 10 minus 8 is equal to 2. 3 minus 0 is equal to 3. 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. Look at the 5. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. 2 minus 0 is equal to 2. And 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. So your final answer is 122.132. Okay, if you go in your calculator and checked it, you can actually see that that's the answer. So guys, that's it. This is how we subtract decimal numbers. So you've made it to the end of the video. Good deal. I really hope that you understood what was reviewed today. Like I said earlier on in the video, I really think it's a good idea that you go back and try to solve the example problems on your own. That way you can prove to yourself, and you can help assure that you actually understand the problems. Well, until next time, with another tutoring session, another math tutoring session with Mike. See you guys.